Hello, welcome to another episode of the Shawl Studio Buzz. Today, in the sense of the word, some chatter from my dye studio because I have been dyeing some yarns. Actually, there's some sock blanks bubbling over at the stove right now, and I thought, haven't done that in ages. Let's film this podcast from out here. So I'm just hoping that the light is going to be okay, because sometimes there's sun, sometimes there's then shadows here. And if you wonder what the is she wearing today, yes, this is the shirt that I wear for dyeing, but it's funny, it's been nice. I mean, really lovely temperatures here. But then today was cooler, but now I feel like it's nicer again. So I got the garage door open because this is where I'm dyeing. I have converted this garage into a dye studio. Yes, in case you're new and you were wondering. Also, I don't think I introduced myself. My name is Doug, and I'm coming to you from Albuquerque in New Mexico. And I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad we can chat about yarn and about everything that I have been up to in the past 2 weeks. I have my husband back. He got back from Australia, where he did some really fun stuff with our daughter. In the meantime, I have been crying myself to sleep. No, just kidding. I always have a blast when I'm by myself here. I cover the house in yarn. I do whatever I want. You know, stuff like watching something, pausing it, jumping up, doing something else in the middle, and coming back to the TV, knitting some more, remembering something else that I wanted to do, running around again. That's just the kind of stuff that would have driven my husband bananas. Also, I had a friend visiting. Be still my heart. You know how that can happen, that you really don't know a person very well, but then you get to spend more time with them and you're like, wow, you fall in love and you bond and you create a very new quality, a new level to that friendship. But yeah, I just had to mention that because that's what comes to mind when I think back. I also, because spring, hello, I have to do spring cleaning, and spring cleaning also involves putting some yarns on sale. So do go to the Shawl shop if you want to take a peek at what's there right now. I think probably a lot of you would say that's a very generous discount. I marked what's in the shop down by 20%. And yesterday I added the Cozy Decay, and today I have been adding Shawl Singles Roadrunner to the mix. And let me just start with that before we jump into the projects, because I have this giant basket in front of me that is very distracting. And I thought I'd show you what there is in the shop right now. And let me turn it around so you can see it a little better. Some of which are yarns where I always think, man, they're so hard to photograph. So any photo doesn't do them justice. For example, Insomniac Obsession is one of those. Oh, I love that colorway. And sometimes I'm like, hey, am I the only one who likes this? I don't know. I don't think I am, but I think it's really me not doing good photos, because certain colors are just harder to take pictures of. Yeah, and then I have, so Roadrunner is a singles merino yarn superwash, and this is one of those that are just glorious. And you've seen this before. It is my Shawl Roadrunner in the colorway The Lover. And that is actually what I am knitting up for my Moab shawl, which you will see later. But in the Moab shawl, this colorway is so different. It's very muted and more tonal. And on singles yarn, like if you want to make a shawl or something, this is going to be just the bomb. Yeah, because it's so bam, all the shades of blues and greens. Yeah, and then there's this one, another favorite. It's the colorway Spritz. And another one that I think is really lovely is this one, Mellow Desert Life. Hemis Falls. Golden Girl. This is Juicy on Cozy Decay, but as far as I remember, I have that also on Roadrunner. Fingering weight. What is this? Oh yeah, this was Spritz. You've seen that. You've seen this. This is Bird Song. Just love this. Well, I love everything I dye, but I don't love it. I think this is Kinky Pinky. Yes, Kinky Pink. It's a one of a kind. This, I think, is again Bird Song. Yes, you've seen that. This is Take Me to Heaven. Il Desperado. Oh, Funky Hippie. Every time I touch this and I look at this colorway, I want to knit with it. And then there's always something else, as you know. And this is the Tinted Rose. Very lightly speckled. I hope you can see that. And what was this? This was also Kinky Pink. Oh, one more. My precious. This literally has a fan club. Some people who are like, oh, I love this so much. Yes, this is what I added on sale to the shop. As of now, I have not yet added Sundancer fingering yarns, which is Sundancer is my base that has 465 yards. And this one is called Morning Mist. It is a one of a kind. There's only one skein. Yeah, I didn't bring the fuzzy yarn, the Shawl's Velvet, which is a lace yarn right here, like this. It's a blend of baby Suri alpaca and silk. Yeah, love the yarn. But there's a few skeins in the shop and they're also all discounted. Yeah. So, oh yeah, and these are the latest that I have just rinsed today. I don't do that too often, that I dye those up variegated, because I find that harder to combine in a pattern. But whatever. I did it here because it's so pretty. Okay, let's start with a finished object, and it is my Power of Flower shirt. And this is a pattern by a German designer. I don't think, unfortunately, that it is translated into English, which is a shame because she's such a great pattern writer. But I am happy to report that it is almost done. I just have, so this side is finished here. All the front has all the yarns woven in, and still have some ends to weave in, and the shoulder over here to close. I'm sure I'm gonna be wearing this next week. Next time, not next week. It's not that soon. Oh my gosh, you guys, I did want you to see this one. I have dyed up the last of my lace yarns, and this is one where I'm like, oh, you have to be mine. And I just don't know if you can tell how yummy this is. What I do with lace yarns, and this has 1,300 something yards. It's alpaca silk. There's something else there could be. Not sure. Well, you'll find out eventually. But the nice thing is that what I do for these is I dye in 2 or even 3 layers. This one, in this case, I was not happy with the result, so I added one last layer, and it made it so amazing. Yeah, very happy about this. And yeah, because you would not want a lace yarn to be variegated. It can be tonal, but you don't want it to hop from color to color. Yeah, excited about this one. Really, every time I walk by it, I'm like, oh, so beautiful. Yeah. So this is about all my dyeing. Let me rearrange a little bit. It's funny because the light is just peeking in there through the garage door that has a gap, but whatever, we'll work with it, right? I know we will. Okay, what has been finished is, and I hope I'm not showing this double, but I think I had these, I was working on these in the last episode, because I usually sell these at the High Desert Studio Tour, the fingerless mitts, and a friend of mine suggested, why don't you make these throughout the year so it's not so stressful. I sold a lot of them at the last studio tour in November of 2024, and so I'm really low on stock. And this was a sport weight yarn held with a random mohair leftover, but probably Lana Grossa silk hair, I'm thinking. And yeah, the other one is, I don't even know what I did with the tag, but it's a very ancient stash. So I don't think it would help you much if I showed you. And then these are done, and I call them done even though the ends are not woven in, sorry. But I have something else done. This is really cool. That makes me really happy because this is one of the UFOs that I had planned to tackle while the UFO Mania Mal 2025 is going. I am talking about this hat that is supposed to be turned into a pattern. because it will eventually match another fingerless mitts pattern that I have published. And those mitts are called, I should have brought them, sorry about that, Across the Desert. And they have just one line of this pattern section going over the front here. And the hat, what I've been struggling with for this one is really to adjust the pattern so that the decreases work out on top. And I know there are some people who hate that here, that little thingamabobber. I don't mind at all. In fact, I love the slightly dorky look that it gives you. And you could, of course, also then add a pom-pom if you want to. And now the next step in my design process is to come up with ways to create different sizes. And because I cannot just add one pattern repeat, you can imagine that would make it way too big. So I'll figure out something. If you hear that, that's probably a motorcycle driving up our street, and I'm sure they kind of go sightseeing because you have such a nice view of the city. So I'm sure that they will come back down in a minute, or maybe they're looking for a house to buy. Okay, so but the yarn that I have used is what I showed you earlier. This is Shawl's Velvet. It was a leftover, I think, from the Ziggy shawl that I made last year, a pattern by Locatelli. And the other yarn that I held it with is a new base that I'm adding to the shop. I cannot add so many yarns, so many colorways of this yet, because they were sold out last time I checked. It's a very, very nice, very soft worsted weight merino yarn. Yeah. So. There was the motorcycle again. All right, so that was the hat. I really like it. So I need to figure out what to do. I would think that anybody who does not like it to be so long will eventually have to maybe increase the ribbing by a few rounds and then leave out one pattern repeat section before the crown decreases. Still working on it. It's not that anybody is really itching to make hats right now, because hello, it's warming up. Yes. So that was my hat. And then I promised you another look at my Moab shawl, where I am in the middle of a row, which I normally don't do. In this case, apparently I did it because I'm getting to my third skein of yarn. I'm using Shawl's Desert Candy sport weight, super yummy. And the pattern gives you 3 options for the edge, and I am not quite there yet. I will still have to pick which version for the edge I would like to use. Yeah, it's I have abandoned this a little bit, I confess, for something new, which you will see in a minute. But I think I was here last time, so I did knit quite a bit more. Yes, you're gonna say, what did you start, Duck? What? Tell us, tell us, tell us. It is something that I showed you last time. It is the glorious Magnolia shawl. Guys, I'm so in love with this pattern. What do you think? Isn't that incredible? It looks even better in real life. And I'm having a mini knit along with a local friend of mine. It was so fun. We went to the guild, the knitting guild, the dropped stitch knitting guild. And there was a D-stash event. And my friend Nancy and we sat next to this woman who had right there, she had 2 skeins of this gorgeous yarn. And I'm like, oh, that's so pretty. And she said, oh, you're gonna have to fight Nancy about it. In the end, what happened was, when the D-stash started, Nancy grabbed the 2 skeins, threw them into my bag, and she had spotted 2 more skeins, very similar, but in a shade of blue, that she grabbed. So we both had the same but different yarns, and we decided we have to make the same project. We have to knit a shawl. We have our mini knit along, and so we ended up deciding on the Magnolia. And I'm just loving the pattern. Sorry about the weird light. Yeah, totally loving this. And you do need to pay attention to the chart a little bit, but it's not bad. I'm just not a monogamous knitter, as you know. So sometimes I take a break of a few days, and then I have to refamiliarize myself, like when I did this. But oops, I didn't mean to throw the mitts around, but I mean, it's fine. It's really not that hard. And it's a pattern that is really very nicely written. Yeah. So I got 2 skeins of the yarn, so you can actually adjust the size of the shawl to anything you want. You can just keep going, which I'm probably gonna do. I'll see. And you will then find out from me what's gonna happen. Okay, next is my wonderful Björk sweater. Breeze knocks over a yarn, a plastic bin that was drying there. That's what you heard. Yeah. What do you think? This thing, as much as I love it, it is driving me bananas to knit these sleeves. And I hate to report, I've been watching some great new shows with my friend Larry when he stayed here. So he introduced me to Ted Lasso. You're gonna say like, what? You don't know Ted Lasso? And also, gosh, what's the other one called? It'll come back to me. Well, I watched 3 shows. Somebody Somewhere, Ted Lasso, and it's on the tip of my tongue. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I know, I'm the last person who is watching them, but that was so fun. So I, at some point, had to rip out the sleeve a little bit because I made a mistake, but I think now I'm back on track, but it's not long enough yet. See? So maybe I don't want, I mean, that would look dumb having an oversized giant sweater with a very fitted sleeve. so it can come over the hand just a little bit. Yeah, and this pattern is called the Björk Raglan by Woodland Knits. Sorry, weird lighting again. Love it. Hopefully I can push forward tonight to get this, to get at least one sleeve done and maybe even get the next one started. And what I am using here is again Shawl's the new worsted weight yarn that I dyed up specifically for the sweater. I think I dyed up 4 skeins, but I may only need 3. And then Shawl's velvet yet again, and I'm combining it with this yarn that was a gift from my friends Dick and Martin, who picked it up for me in Estonia. So nice, always so special when you get some yarn that where somebody thought of you when they were visiting a far, far away place. So that was that, the sweater, and I am knitting this with 7mm needles. By the way, I apologize, I did not tell you about the needles. I also, this is so funny how this happens sometimes, guys. I had started a blanket a long time ago, a crochet blanket, and I thought it was pretty cool because it's kind of like a, I think I found the instructions on YouTube somewhere, but it's like a granny square, but solid, not a lot of clusters, and but it's turned into a rectangle, which is going to be better for a blanket shape, of course. So this is where I was, and I haven't touched it for a very long time. I am using all leftover, I think that would be called DK commercial sock yarn. All European yarns, and all, no idea what they are. And then today I saw my pen and ink friend and pen pal Simona. Her channel is Simone. She had put up last week already an episode where she did not talk about all her writing stuff, but she talked about her UFOs and whatever she has accumulated in embroidery and whatnot. You know how it goes. Well, I'm the same, you know me. And so, and then she showed her blanket. Oh my God, I was done for immediately. It's a granny stitch blanket where you just go back and forth. So I did not yet rip out this, but I started the blanket, and I think I will abandon this one. I think what bugs me a little bit, it looks a tiny bit wonky, as if, and I know that if the beginning of something like this is not right, then it can be really a problem later. So also it has a beginning and an end of the round, which I'm not too fond of either. And yes, I have cast on, 305 stitches. It's going to be nice and big, and I'm excited about it. Yes, so I'm probably going to crochet. No, I will finish the sleeve tonight and then probably crochet. That's the way it goes. Yes, and I had some German knitting friends that had already viewers of the podcast actually that had already sent me more leftovers. They're not all in my bin here, but yeah, so nice. I'm set up, yeah. And then I wanted to show you some stuff that I thought was so cool. Some German podcasts have recently talked about these retro projects and possibly about a retro knit along where you knit something from a pattern from 80s, 70s, who knows. And it reminded me of a sweater. I think it was my very first, I don't know if it was my first sweater. Hold on a second. Well, the thing is that this was probably the first complicated, complex sweater I have ever made. Yeah, pretty fancy. And it was the pattern, I found the pattern in a German magazine. Yeah. And at the time I had just cut off my hair. I was probably 22 years old. Yeah. I wish I still had that sweater. But what I always think of when I think about retro stuff is a magazine that it's probably my oldest favorite, most favorite magazine, and this is also a German one, and I wonder if I'll ever make this. I don't think so, because why would you put in all the work and then not wear it? And I just can't see myself wearing this, but yeah, it's so cool. So I like looking at it from time to time. Yeah, and I did not bring my rug hooking UFOs, but I'm pushing along with the bird rug, and you will see it next time. And until I see you again, I wish you happy knitting and enjoy the spring. Bye.